Vahidi mekyoni mana, ladies and gentlemen. No flashbulbs, please. Our performers are temperamental and easily upset. Thank you for your cooperation.
Oh, look at all the people.
My goodness, you're all staring at us. We better start the show rolling.
Wait. We forgot to wake up the Glee Club.
Tahua'ila, tahua'ila, e muhilila, pili ko'olua,
Hey, howdy, hey. Thank you for joining us here on Enchanted Tiki Talk. This is episode 14. On this week's episode, we have a very special guest. She has traveled the world staying in great hotels and taking her passport to China, Europe, and Latin America. She has the greatest job in the world. Here's the incredibly talented and charming Samantha Brown.
Well, thank you. Hello. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
Excellent.
All right. Thank you for coming on the show and taking time out of your busy schedule. We really appreciate that.
Sure. We love Skype.
It makes everything easy.
It does.
Great.
Okay. So where did your love of traveling come from?
It really came from getting my job. I grew up not really traveling a lot. I grew up in New Hampshire, and traveling for us was to either see relatives in Pennsylvania, or we went up to Montreal or Quebec. That was big travel for us. And I really always thought that travel was for other people, people privileged with money and time and confidence. I certainly looked at travel as something wow, but it was something that other people did. And luck would have it, I got this job on the Travel Channel. And through that job, I just absolutely fell in love with it and realized that no, it's for everyone, and it's accessible and should be for everyone.
Can you tell us how you got your first gig, the plane story, as I've come to hear it called?
Oh, sure. So I had to audition as the host of a Travel Channel show, and the production company was down in Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida, and I lived in New York. And so they had me on a really tough connecting flight, which at that time I didn't know. I didn't know anything about flying. And so I just said, okay, I'll be there. And we left late from LaGuardia, which everyone leaves late from LaGuardia, and we made it through Washington Dulles. And at the time, I don't know if they're still there, but they were people movers. So instead of the terminals were far apart, and there was nothing connecting them except these sort of Star Wars-like era machines. They were very odd, and so you'd have to load onto this sort of bus and be shuttled to the next terminal. And because of that, I had missed my flight, even when I landed, and I just couldn't make it. And so the second time they said she has to audition. We need to see her by the end of this week, and if she's not, if she's not auditioning, we don't, she can't be considered. So I'm on the exact same flight. I don't know why I didn't ask them to change it, but I'm on the exact same flight. We left again late, and this time we landed, and I had 5 minutes to make the flight, and I had to go through these people movers again, and that slows everything down. By the time I got to the gate, they had already called final boarding, but the attendant said, go, maybe they'll take you. And so I walked out, and it was one of those small planes. It was like a jet. So you walked out onto the tarmac. And as I walked towards this plane on the tarmac, a man came up to me and was like, well, where do you think you're going? He almost tackled me because I was walking on a tarmac, a live tarmac. And I said, is that the plane to Jacksonville, Florida? And he said, yes. I'm like, well, I'm supposed to be on that plane. And he said, no, you're not. I cleared it for takeoff. And once I clear it, no one gets on the plane. And of course, I just started bawling my eyes out because, and I started trying to relate to him, saying, you don't understand. I've been waiting on tables for 8 years. This is an amazing job that I'm, being auditioned for, and I have to be on that plane or I won't get the job. And so he wasn't too sympathetic. However, he did say the only other person who can override my decision, as it were, is the pilot, and I'll go ask the pilot. So I was like, okay. So he's like, stay right here. So I sat there, stood there, and I watched him walk probably another good 7,500 feet to the plane. He walks up the stairway, and I see him go into the cockpit and lean down, and the pilot listened to him, and something just snapped. I'm like, you're going to have to do a lot more to make this happen. And so I just picked up my bag and I ran. And I put myself under the nose of the plane and I opened up my arms and I just yelled at the top of my lungs, please, to the pilot. And the pilot looked down and just gave me the thumbs up. And I swear to God, that's when I knew I got the job. I don't even need to audition. But the pilot let me on. And I got to audition, and Travel Channel called me the next week and said, the job is yours. But we have tried to find that pilot. We have put out feelers. We've done everything, and we cannot find the person who literally was responsible for giving me the best job in my life.
It's probably because he's done it 100 times, right?
Yeah, well, this was pre 9/11, so I don't think I would have gotten that far.
Right.
Yeah,
Definitely not.
Yeah. So, but yeah, maybe so. Maybe a lot of people beg to get on flights that I don't know about.
Or he's just retired and doesn't have internet anywhere.
That's true. Yeah, he's done.
Yeah. He's given up. I mean, that's an incredible story. It's like you would think that the world was against you at that point, and then the heavens opened up, and there it was, and here you are now, just because of that.
Absolutely, it's sort of my version of the person who's sitting in a cafe and someone comes up and says, "Would you like to star in a Matt Damon movie because you're the perfect look?" It was one of those just random, really like luck is on your side that day, and it's true. You make a lot of your own luck, but when it comes knocking, you got to be ready for it. And for me, it was a sprint. That was what I was ready to do, was sprint.
Well, there was something about you that he liked, so and the rest of the world likes you too. So we have to thank him personally.
Yeah.
We never meet him.
Whoever you are, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when was your first trip to a Disney park, and why did it leave such an impression on you?
Our first work with them was, I believe, Great Hotels. So we were showcasing their incredible hotels, which you know about from I think Grand Floridian was my very first experience. I had never been to Disney World. I always joked that my father said that we were rotten kids and didn't deserve to go. He would always say that sarcastically. So we never got to go to Disney World. So here I am as a 28-year-old, just being in awe of it, and literally gushing when I saw Winnie the Pooh, because he was my favorite. And so you're working at Disney, and you're working there, so it's a little bit more overwhelming. There's people everywhere making sure things are going smoothly. We, of course, which I love about Disney, is they protect the people who are there to have fun. Where a lot of people could protect us as the film crew because they want just the good word and the good show, but for them, they are there to make sure we are not impeding anybody from having what is, the time of their lives. And so I was really impressed with that. Certainly through the years of going back to Disney again and again, people know me. They know me at Disney. I sometimes get a VIP guide, which is wonderful, so I can go around and see the sites quickly because I only have 2 hours. But what I've noticed from sitting in all the lobbies, which I make sure I do in whatever hotel I stay at, is I see how the staff deals personally with the people just coming in. Not just me with the film crew who, with my work on the Travel Channel, but everybody. And I really got hooked on the Disney model, just Disney in general, with just how they treat people. They make sure that every single person who walks through their doors feels like they are a VIP. And I've certainly seen the opposite of that, where in the hotel industry and just in the travel industry, there are certain people who get a certain, type of service, and then others don't. And I've always been amazed by that. And I truly feel that they are of the best staff in the world. What they call cast members, I guess, as they're called. But they truly love their job, and they make sure that you are there to have the time of your lives, and that's really admirable.
Yeah, I agree with you. Has there ever been a situation like when you've been down there to filming and people think that you actually work for Disney, and they'll come to you and say, like, I'm having this problem, or, can you resolve this for me? Do they look at you like that, or no?
No, not when I'm there. I feel like I'm more of a Disney character when people come up and ask me for my autograph thinking I'm like Snow White. Because, when everyone's there, they're just sort of in that mode of they've got the autograph books out. And,
I would love a Samantha Brown meet and greet.
Great. I would love that too. So that's kind of funny to me. I mean, I certainly get a lot of people outside when I'm home, or just friends and people tweeting me, that sort of thing, asking, going to Disney, what should I do? What are your highlights? That sort of thing. But I've never approached actually at the parks to say, hey, how do I get a fast pass? That kind of stuff.
Right.
So it really was Great Hotels then that opened the door for you to host all the Disney specials and the Vacation Club specials and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So, working with Disney, we work really well with them and they work great with us. And so you just keep working with each other because you know how each other works. And they noticed that we had a true respect for the people who were there, meaning, again, back to, when we would do hotel shows, listen, we stopped. If someone was checking in, that's a 5-star hotel. They get precedence over us. And I think Disney really recognized that's how we treated people. I would always stop and talk to people and take pictures. I'm not, this sort of I'm above it all kind of celebrity. And so it was that communal relationship we had, respect, and the level of service that we want to give, as me as a host, what I want to give to the people who watch the show. So it was really just a mutual respect for each other. And thank goodness, because I've done a lot of their hotels. We've done Christmas specials. I'm going to Aulani next week. Thank goodness. It's, because the free.
Nice.
Yeah. So now I just work directly with them. And I think my videos air on their website. And it's just a way to keep people posted on what's going on and what's exciting and new, and have it be accessible to people all the time, which has changed. When I began with Disney, it was a TV show. And if you didn't catch that TV show or didn't think to set your VCR, well, you were going to miss it. And now there's, DVR, where you can DVR things. And now you just go on the web and get anything you want when you want it. So Disney has definitely understood that that's another road they need to go down, and they've brought me on to do that. So I think I go to Disney 4 times a year, which to a kid who never got to go because she's too rotten, it's a dream.
You're making up for it now.
Yeah. Right.
That's amazing. And what does your family think now when they see you down at Disney World?
Oh, they love it. It's one of those things. My extended family took a big multi-generational trip there last year. I think there was 20 of them.
Wow.
And so I helped them plan that and make sure that they were seeing the right things at the right time. And it was interesting because it was my aunt and uncle, and they were bringing their grandkids. And every year they take only their grandkids on a special trip. And of course their kids love it because they get a week without their kids. And when my aunt and uncle announced that it was Walt Disney World, well, every parent said, well, we want to go. We have to, and you not only want to go because, you want to have your own experience there, but also everyone remembers their first Disney moment. And if it's your child, you want to be there for that. Right. And it's interesting how that really is such a huge part of that whole experience Disney World, is that you want to be walking down Main Street, towards Cinderella Castle with your daughter and have her see and explain who Cinderella is, and that's the castle, and here we are. And so and then the grandparents said, the great grandparents said, well, we want to be a part of it. So then the great grandparents went. So they had 5 generations of people all head down, and they said they just had the time of their lives. And so it's interesting when I go down on there to work, and we work pretty long days, 14-hour days. And so going down to Disney with my own family, I've been down with my mom, and I really would love to take my nephew, who's 5 and just is absolutely obsessed with Pirates of the Caribbean and, Jack Sparrow. And I don't know if you've been there. They redid the Caribbean ride, and then you come out in that barbershop, the little barbershop that's in the hull of a ship, and it's for little boys or girls, and you can get a pirate makeover, and it is incredible. And so I would love to take him there. So that's the next trip with my family.
That's going to be great. It's those small things that do make a difference. It's who would ever thought you can get dressed up as a pirate, going to a park.
And that's what I explained. I think that's what Disney does so well. And one of my impressions of it immediately is that it's not all about the attractions. Every inch of that place is beautiful, and you could just sit in a park bench for an hour and see the world go by. A parade will go by, characters, Mickey Mouse, Pluto, maybe a little a guy playing a piano will start up. I was walking around Epcot, and there was a beautiful bird sanctuary before, and it's just this lovely place that, listen, I don't think I want to wait in line at an attraction, so I'll drop off my family and I'll go off and enjoy what I want to see. And so I love that about that park, which for me was really different from other amusement parks where, it's basically, it's amusements. It's waiting in line for the rides, and that's it. But it's just a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place to be.
I agree with you. Everyone thinks that you have like the perfect job,
Yeah.
but when it comes to shooting, in reality, you really don't get to enjoy the amenities as it's perceived on TV. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Well, one, it's a lot of times where my job becomes a bit tedious is we have to do many, many, many takes, and that can be really tiring. However, if the many, many, many takes take place on the rock and roll roller coaster, well, now that's awesome. So usually what I have to do, and also we can't be on those rides shooting them while it's open. So most of them. So like the big ones, say like Haunted Mansion and Rock and Roll Roller Coaster and Space Mountain, we're actually shooting that at about 6 a.m. with extras.
Oh, wow.
And,
wow.
You want to talk about a great way to start a day. I mean, waking up at like 4:30 is no fun, but 6 a.m. you're on your fourth round of Rock and Roller Coaster. You're like, this is awesome. So just to protect, again, if our crew went in there, we would stop the ride, and then the line would get longer, and that kind of thing. So we control that, and Disney controls that. So that's a little different. We're sometimes there when it's absolutely empty. But other than that, other than takes and just long days, it's a great experience. So I don't have any complaints. It's just like you said, it's a perceived reality in a sense, because you have to control the situation, and we can't impede other people's fun being there.
And when you eat dinner, do you actually get to finish the meal, or do you have to eat the same small piece over and over and over again?
Oh, I definitely eat the meal. I've got it down because I'm such a professional. I know when to talk and then actually go to as if I was cutting the meat, but I don't really cut the meat. And then they get the cut shot. Like, I know all the shots that they need to get, and now we do cut the meat, because if I ruin it on the main shot, well, then it looks ruined, and so we can't ruin the meal. And so there are all these takes that I do to the camera, and then I go to eat, and I know that they're going to cut the camera at that point and go to a cut shot of it close up. So then when we get to the close-up shot, then I cut, and then when the cameras are off, then I eat. So I definitely eat everything that's put in front of me, absolutely.
Do you ever find yourself at home doing the same thing, like pausing for a second?
I don't. I probably should, because I eat too fast.
I think we all do, though.
Yeah. Stepping away from Disney for a minute, do you have, because you're such an experienced traveler, do you have any must-have items that you travel with?
Oh, yes. Especially when I do international travel, I always travel with a jar of peanut butter, because that's my survival food. And you can always find things that go with peanut butter. And if you're really desperate, you can just stick your finger in and eat the peanut butter off your finger. Believe me, I've been in those situations many times. So I love peanut butter.
Chunky or smooth?
I've gone back and forth. I'm smooth right now. I have been a chunky girl. I always travel with earplugs. I used to have those $250 noise canceling headphones, and they were stolen, and I'm like, well, I'm not replacing that. And I just find that little earplugs do, and let me tell you, if I'm on a flight to Orlando and I don't have earplugs, I will quickly run and do a late boarding to get earplugs, because, bless those families with that whole, which is great, that whole plane is just rocking,
Right.
And then the other thing I always travel with are what's called pinky balls. And pinky balls are these pink hard rubber balls that you get at a toy store, usually specialty toy stores. And actually tennis balls will do as well, but I always travel with them because if I've had a really long flight, or if I've been on my feet all day, and this really works well if you've been at a theme park all day, you go back to your hotel room and you put these pinky balls on the floor, and you lay your back down on them, and then you push up with your knees and you roll them down your back. And then you turn around and you roll them down your legs, and then I stand on them to really work out my arches. And it just kind of realigns me after a really long day of traveling. And it's sort of the place of a $150 massage. I still feel great, and these are only like $2.50, and I just always have them in my luggage.
I think that's something I'm going to have to try.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Yes.
Thank you.
The only reason why tennis balls don't work that well is because of the felt. It catches on your clothing. But the pinky ball is a nice smooth. See, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're an expert.
I've tried a lot of different. Yeah, I've gone to many sports shops. Like King. But it's just a great way to feel better. And I'm sure as a parent, you get tired. You know, you're lugging things, you're holding babies, you're holding gear, and it's just a good way at the end of the day to kind of feel a little better.
So back to Disney. What is your favorite Disney resort?
I love the Animal Kingdom Lodge. That's my favorite. I love it. I just love it so much, and I think it's beautiful that most of the people who work there are from Africa. So, I mean, I keep thinking of my children. They're just one right now. So, but you know, when they're 2 or 3 and 4, to go to that resort and just say, ask them where they're from and how do they say hello in their country, and just all those simple things so they understand that they're not the only ones in the world. I love the fact that you just look out onto a savanna from your room. I can't get enough of the animals there. And something that's different there than all the other big resorts like Wilderness Lodge or Grand Floridian is that when you walk in, because of the restaurants, I think it's Samba and I forget the other one. So that they have 2 restaurants sort of in their lower level, and all the smells like the cardamom and the coriander and just the cinnamon just kind of infuses the entire lobby, and so you really get an olfactory sense of place that you don't in other places. And I love that. It transports you immediately to well, I've never been to Africa, but I feel like I've been close.
Absolutely. I love the Animal Kingdom Lodge as well. That's my wife and I, we own the Disney Vacation Club, and that's the resort that we stay at. And
that's your home resort? Yeah.
Yeah, that's our home resort. It's pretty fantastic there.
And that just opened a few years ago, correct?
Yeah, Kidani was built in maybe 7 years ago, Sean?
Okay.
Kidani? No, it's newer than that. I want to say like 09, maybe 10.
Oh
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Where have I been? That's I think they opened up a new one, right? I think they expanded or something like that. Because we were there showcasing that, but that's beautiful, and the rooms, these little apartments are gorgeous as well. So I'm jealous. That'd be a great place to stay.
Yeah, whereas I own at Wilderness Lodge in Old Key West.
Oh, nice.
So it's a little different than the Animal Kingdom, but they're still great resorts.
Yes, right. You can't go wrong. I think that's everyone talks about.
There's not a bad resort there.
Right. With that experience is that it's perfect. You know, they make sure it's perfect.
So you told us which is your favorite Disney resort. How about your favorite Disney restaurant?
Disney restaurant. Oh gosh, I must have one. Boy, we went to I'm forgetting the name now. We went to the restaurant in the Contemporary, not the Californian, but the one in the lobby level. I think it's called Wave.
Yes.
The Wave?
Yep.
It was fantastic. Everything was organic and fresh. I had one of the nicest pieces of salmon I've ever had. A great waitress. Again, I love the staff there. Wonderful glass of wine. I'm coming from someone who, when I go down to Disney, I'm actually without kids, and I finally get to sleep in and have a nice dinner, and it was just perfect. And a lot of the restaurants, of course, there's a wait. It's sort of more of a big deal, and I just liked how subdued this was. It was really low key, but a really exceptional experience. So I really enjoyed Wave a lot. Excuse me.
So when you get home from traveling or on a shoot, what is the first food that you want to have when you get back home?
Usually, what do I have? Oh gosh. Leftovers. I like leftovers, which I never. Yeah, when I'm never. I like how things age in the refrigerator. I'm not a big cook, but we always order takeout, so it's usually something like a Thai food, something kind of Asian, and really for me it's just to eat with, which is my husband, and be with my kids now. But it's always great to come home. That's for sure. No one makes my bed in the morning, so that's kind of disappointing.
Is there one
no
place
chocolate on the pillow. So just
no mints on the pillow, right? Yeah.
No.
Is there one place, you've been all over the world, is there one place you haven't visited that you're just dying to get to, whether it's for work or for vacation, for pleasure?
Oh, so many. The list. I mean, I could start the list right now. I would love to go to, just here in this country, National Glaciers Park. I would love to see all of our national parks, which I just find are so underutilized and should be celebrated so much more than they are. I would love to go to see the Aurora Borealis and stay in Finland in one of those yurts with like the glass, ceiling, so you can just look up. I would love to do a river cruise through Europe. I would love to go to India. I would love to go to Africa. So I find as a traveler, even though I've been to so many places, the world just keeps getting bigger. And it's overwhelming sometimes.
And do you have a favorite non-Disney hotel or resort?
Yeah, I have a few. I love, in California, I have expensive taste now, mind you. So, I'm sorry, I think budget where it comes to me. But my favorite hotel in California is called Shutters on the Beach, and it's it's just impeccable. It's actually pretty small, low key, and the lobby feels like your dream beach home. And their restaurant is awesome. They have homemade butterscotch pudding, which is one of my favorites. So that would absolutely be a favorite hotel of mine. I love it. But I always find that, I always recommend to people, listen, I stay at these hotels because someone else is paying. But Shutters on the Beach might be like $600 a night. And no, I would not spend that much money if it was my own money. I'm just not at that tax bracket yet. But I always say, what's great about hotels is that you can date them. You don't have to make a commitment. Just, go for a drink. Go into the bar. One of the best bars in the world is right here in New York City. It's called King Cole Bar, and that's at the St. Regis, which is this impeccable hotel. There's a butler on every floor. It could be out of the price range for, 85% of the people traveling to New York, perhaps more. And yet the bar just is essential old world New York. And go in and have a martini or a nice glass of wine. Sure, it'll probably cost you $30, $40, but, you'll have that moment. And then, you can save money for other things. But if there's a place that you've always wanted to stay but can't quite, handle it financially, just go in and have a drink.
That's a great idea.
That's a great tip.
Coffee, even in the afternoon, have a cup of coffee. It doesn't have to be alcoholic, but just, and date it. Date the hotel.
That's a great tip. Are there any bloopers or funny behind-the-scenes stories that you can share with us?
There was, sure. There's one time we were in Asia. We were in China, and we were shooting the panda preserve. And we got at last minute, it's this amazing, for lack of a better word, zoo, that has about 60 pandas. And everything from baby pandas in a nursery to full-grown pandas. And at the last minute, we got a chance to get into the panda pen of 1-year-olds. And so we were all so excited that no one thought about the safety of me going into a pen with live bears. And so it wasn't until I was almost going through the door that the panda handler turned to me and just said, "Keep moving." And I was told he didn't speak any English, so I went to my interpreter. I said, "He just said, keep moving. Why?" And so they had this long conversation in Chinese, and she turned to me, she said, "They're bears." And so, okay, so he said, "You have to keep moving. If you stand still, you will be challenging their territory and they will charge you. So you have to keep moving." So we go out and we're shooting. Now I'm scared to death. I don't want to do this anymore, but my director and producer, they're way away getting their long shots coming, showing me they're on the safety side basically. And so of course they're shouting at me to stand still because they need to get the shot while the guy is yelling at me to keep moving. And I stood still for probably, 5 seconds just so my cameraman could get a shot. And sure enough, that panda started to charge me. And it came right after me, and the panda handler literally pushed me out of the way, grabbed the panda by the scruff of the back and flung it in the air, and then yelled the only other word he knew in English, which is "run." And so we ran. I never ran so fast in my life. We ran, and that didn't make the show.
Wow.
Running for my life, because who's going to root for the TV host? Everyone's going to be on the side of the panda.
Right.
So there are things like that, and then there are just fun things where things go wrong. I go to, I'm elegantly dressed. I'm in a restaurant and I go to eat and the thing falls down the front. And now we're down like an hour because there's tomato sauce, that sort of thing. So I've never had any really crazy bloopers in that sense, but it can get pretty funny.
It's just stuff that can happen to anybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And do you have any upcoming projects that you're working on currently that our listeners can hear about? Where can we find you coming up?
Yeah, so I have on the Travel Channel, I'll be on January 27th. It's called The Trip. And it is basically it's an hour-long program where we show you the highlights of the best restaurants, experiences, hotels in and around Spain and Morocco. And instead of watching and having a burning envy, this is a trip that you can win, and it's worth $100,000. And people go online to travelchannel.com. You can sign up and try to win this trip. But it's a pretty phenomenal trip, and I think we all are just gobsmacked at $100,000 and how much fun we can have and how much we all deserve a trip like that. But I'm certainly shooting some other things, and I took a year off, almost a year off from shooting because of my family, but this year I'll get back in the saddle.
Excellent.
Great. Now, every guest that we have come on, we ask them 5 questions pertaining to the parks. But before that, I have to ask a question. Do you still play Galaga?
Of course! Absolutely.
Do you own the arcade game, or do you have a video game of it?
I do, but I'm a purist, and I never really got into doing it in my home. It was really like now Galaga and Miss Pac-Man are this like combo game that you can really find everywhere, especially at Walt Disney World. Right. So my friend and I who travel, I travel with a stylist when I do these shoots. We are Galaga fanatics, and she's actually better than me. But I love that game. And it is one of the things I love about it still as an adult is I played it when 25 cents was a lot of money to me. That was like I had maybe 50 cents. And now I feel like a god. I don't have to leave. Like if I get killed, I have another 25 cents.
Right. It's amazing how far we've come, right?
I really, yes. For one thing in my life, I'm like, I'm as wealthy as Bill Gates when it comes to Galaga.
All right, so here's our Tiki lightning round.
Okay.
What's your favorite snack in the Disney parks?
Oh, the turkey leg.
Oh my God!
No, Keith is going to be terribly upset that he missed that. That's his favorite. We always give him such a hard time about it.
Unbelievable! I couldn't believe they sold turkey legs. It's the best. It's like $7 now. Keeps you full. It's a healthy snack. I love it.
I just want to know the size of the turkey. Are they like 7 feet tall?
Yeah.
Really? Exactly. They're Fantasyland turkeys.
Yes.
Your favorite attraction?
Oh, Soarin'.
Yeah. That's a great attraction. You mentioned Winnie the Pooh is your favorite character. Is that still your favorite character?
Yeah, that's Winnie.
Pooh Bear.
Yeah.
Your favorite Disney movie?
Little Mermaid.
I think that's probably mine as well.
Really?
That's my wife's favorite. She loves that. She can watch it all day.
I still sing it. I still sing the song.
So does she. Whenever we ride the new Under the Sea ride at Magic Kingdom, she sings along with it.
Is that good? I haven't gone to that ride yet, that attraction.
I like it.
It's very cute. It's very good. Dark ride. It tells the story. It's a good ride. It's fun.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a great attraction. Kids love it, and it's like the next generation of dark rides. But it's just like an old classic dark ride, just with more animatronics. So it's a great attraction. The last one is your favorite park memory.
Oh my gosh, there's so many. How can you...
Yeah, it's hard.
Oh boy. My favorite has to be my first, and I love... I did go to Disneyland as a kid, and I loved the Toontown. Well, it wasn't Toontown, and it was like the little Mickey and Minnie's world, and everything was small, and I just, as I was young. I was probably 11 years old, but I was still sort of in that I'm a little kid kind of mode. And I just thought that was, to me, that's where magical came into it. Like, here was a world for me. It was for little people. And I'll never forget that, how I felt seeing this entire neighborhood of small little homes that we could play with. And I just wanted to be there the entire time. So that was my, I guess, your first memory is your fondest. So.
Yeah, it's true. Sam, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and, talking to us. We really do appreciate it, and we really enjoyed the time with you.
Alan and Sean, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. And you want to tell us how people can find you on your Twitter and your website?
Absolutely. I have a website, samantha-brown.com, and you can also follow me on Twitter, @SamanthaBrown. I look at that all the time, and I answer a lot of questions, so it's a great way to reach out to me as well.
That's going to do it for this week. Be sure to let us know what you thought of this week's show. You can comment in the show notes over at enchantedtikitalk.podbean.com, or you can email us at enchantedtikitalk@gmail.com. Be sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/enchantedtikitalk, and of course you can follow us at Tiki Talk Podcast on Twitter. And lastly, if you enjoy the show, please take the time to rate us on iTunes.
And you can find me on Twitter at 1 Minute Disney Dream. That's 1MIN Disney Dream, and MouseWorldVacations.com. And you can also find Keith at Dole Whip Daily on Twitter and DoleWhipDaily.com.
And you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm at Norman Bates. That's NORMNB, the number 8 and the letter S. Thanks for listening this week. For Sean and Keith and our very special guest, Samantha Brown, I'm Alan, and this has been Enchanted Tiki Talk. Aloha.
Feeling in the mood for something a bit on the wild side? Then journey with me to the edge of civilization, to an African wilderness lodge where exotic animals roam 30 feet from your balcony. It's not out of Africa, it's outside of Orlando at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. Next on Great Hotels.